I'm Vicki Luann, shattered but unbreakable, and this is Take It Back. This series started because I watched a reel. A woman was standing in front of a camera, not just any woman, she was a beautiful woman, confidently selling Cleopatra's sexual positions. Positions she claimed were found on a scroll in Cleopatra's tomb, laying beside her with a promise that sounded something like this: "Do this, and your man will never leave you." Let me be very clear. That moment stopped me cold, not because it was shocking, but because it was familiar. It was the same old lie, dressed up in history, sprinkled with pseudo-science, and sold as empowerment. Here's the problem. Cleopatra could not possibly have known about dopamine. She did not understand oxytocin. She wasn't manipulating nervous systems, attachment bonds, or male psychology. The words didn't exist. That science didn't exist. And even if it had, that was never the source of her power. I know this because I loved Cleopatra long before the internet decided to sexualize her. As a kid, I did book reports on her. I studied her reign, her intelligence, her languages, her political brilliance. Sexuality had nothing to do with why she fascinated me. She ruled because she was sovereign, because she understood culture, strategy, timing, and power, not because she kept a man. And watching her legacy reduced to sexual positions, sold to women as a way to prevent abandonment, that wasn't empowerment, that was containment. And it hit a nerve for me deeply because I didn't become a trauma coach by accident. I work with survivors of sexual abuse, with women recovering from narcissistic relationships, with people who were taught explicitly or quietly that their safety depended on being desirable, pleasing, or strategic with their bodies. If you do this, you will be chosen. If you do this, you won't be left. If you do this, you'll be safe. If you do this, you'll be rewarded. That is not power. That is survival being sold as strategy. And once I saw Cleopatra being used that way, I couldn't stop. My brain blew up because if her story could be rewritten like that, then this wasn't about one woman. It was about a pattern. So I took it back further and further, and I started with Medusa. Because Medusa isn't about sexuality at all. She's about what happens when a woman is violated, when she is harmed, and then punished for being seen afterward. She's about blame and fear and how systems rewrite women as monsters when they refuse to disappear. Medusa hits close to home for me. And Cleopatra shows what happens when a woman doesn't get turned into a monster, but gets sexualized instead. Same system, different method. This series is about exposing that system. Not to argue with history, not to argue with the beautiful woman selling Cleopatra's sexual positions, but to name how it's still operating now. Because today, the myths sound like trigger his biology, hack attraction, stay soft so you're safe, be desirable so you're chosen. That's not liberation. That's obedience with better lighting. Take it back is about reclaiming something deeper. Truth, authority, boundary-backed power. We'll walk through Medusa, Cleopatra, and yes, Aphrodite, not as seductress, not as fantasy, but as instruction and warning and clarity. Because when women understand how power is rewritten, they stop buying the lie that their worth lives in being wanted. This is not mythology. This is pattern recognition. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And you don't perform anymore. You decide. This is Take It Back. This first story matters more than people realize. So we begin where the punishment started. Before Medusa was a monster, she was a woman. And before she was punished, she was violated. She was harmed. That is not metaphor. That is not symbolism. That is the story. And it matters because the pattern has not changed. Most of us were taught Medusa backwards. We were shown the snakes, the stone, the hero who kills her. We were not taught who she was before the violence. And that omission is the point. Medusa was a priestess in Athena's temple. That means she lived inside a system that promised protection in exchange for obedience. Her body did not belong to men. Her role was sacred. Her visibility was controlled. The temple was meant to be a boundary. It was meant to be where harm could not reach. And yet, Poseidon entered that temple, not because he was invited, not because Medusa wanted him there, but because he could. This is where the story becomes uncomfortable, because it becomes familiar. Poseidon was a god, absolute power, untouchable authority. Medusa had no power to refuse. This was not seduction. This was not desire. This was power acting on a body it knew could not say no. And it happened in a space that was supposed to protect her. That detail is everything. Because when harm happens, even in safe spaces, the system has a problem. And here's the problem systems always face. If they hold the perpetrator accountable, the structure cracks. If they blame the victim, the structure survives. And systems almost always choose themselves. Athena did not punish Poseidon. She punishes Medusa. Let that settle. She punishes Medusa. The man with power walks free. The woman who survives becomes the problem. Her trauma is reframed as transgression. Her pain becomes disorder. Her presence becomes dangerous. This is not ancient. This is textbook trauma response inside institutions. And here's where the labels begin. Medusa is no longer violated. She is no longer harmed. She is unstable. She is dangerous. She is too much. Her body is transformed. Her humanity is stripped. She becomes something people are warned about. This is how the system neutralizes survivors without ever saying the word violence. Now pause here for a second. Because if you're listening to this and something feels tight in your chest, it's because you've seen this before. Maybe in courtrooms, maybe in churches, maybe in schools, maybe in families that you know, maybe in your own life. This is the pattern. The woman is violated. She is harmed. She is abused. She survives. She remains visible. And suddenly, the story becomes about her, her tone, her behavior, her reaction, her instability, her dress. Sound familiar? Medusa is not punished for what was done to her. She is punished for not disappearing afterward, for not becoming quiet, for not becoming grateful, for not becoming easy to digest. Visibility after trauma is treated as a threat. And it still is. In modern language, Medusa is labeled crazy, angry, manipulative, untrustworthy, difficult. These are not descriptors. They are control mechanisms. Because once a woman is labeled, her truth no longer has to be addressed. This is why Medusa matters. Not because she turns men to stone, but because she reveals what happens when women stop softening their pain to keep others comfortable. And we're not even at the killing yet. That comes next. Because the system doesn't just label women like Medusa. Eventually, it eliminates them. This is Take It Back.
She is a warrior, ain't nothing gonna slow her down. She is a warrior, yeah. Gotta get up and go, no matter the road. Gotta keep your head held high. Gotta keep on praying, keep on slaying. Gotta keep that pretty smile. But she's ready to battle, gonna take that enemy down. She fears no evil and holding her ground. She is a warrior, ain't nothing gonna slow her down. She is a warrior, she's taking this battleground. She is a fighter, a crier, she ain't gonna lose this round. She is a warrior, yeah. She sees a way and it ain't paved, rubies of gold. She's gonna train her mind, gotta keep her in line, keep her eyes on the Lord. She's ready to battle, gonna take that enemy down. She fears no evil and holding her ground. She is a warrior, ain't nothing gonna slow her down. She is a warrior, she's taking this battleground. She is a fighter, a crier, she ain't gonna lose this round. She is a warrior,
You are stronger than you think, braver than you feel, and more capable than you ever imagined. So embrace the struggle and know that with each step, you are becoming the person God created you to be, a warrior.
Here's love.